Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a day 0, day 1 tier list for the new GD05 format. Obviously, I am not a prophet. I don't actually know if these decks are going to be S tier, A tier, or whatever you want to say. This video is just for fun, to make a prediction on how I think the meta is going to shape up, and then to take a look back at the tier list about, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks or a month into the format to see what I got right and to see what I got wrong. So yes, the open discussion. Let me know if you agree, you disagree, what you guys think are going to be the best decks in the format. Let me know down in the comments, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so for the first deck that I have here, it's going to be Blurple, or new Blurple. However, we're going to decide to play Blurple in this new format without Mika and Amro. I think aggro decks are still going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this into the B tier. I'm sure that there is going to be a combination of blue and purple that still has plenty of likes, because unlike the purple side, we still have 8 pings in the form of Mika and Adapt, and 4 pings in the form of Gun Tank, and there are other archetypes as well that still do ping damage, like the Titans archetype with Rosa Maria. So there are other ping options, but you know, whether or not that is the right combination, who knows? But I still think aggro still has a place, and I think Blurple in particular aggro is still going to be a viable deck in the format. You definitely should not count out aggro in this new format, even though it has been nerfed. And with that said, I think the other aggro deck is blue-purple. Not blue-purple, green-blue. Green-blue with the Charzaku Gundam, Char and Amro. I think that deck is still going to be pretty good. So yeah, make sure that you can still handle aggro with your new top end decks, because if you can't, you're still just not gonna have a good time. So yeah, make sure you're testing against aggro still. Next up is the League Militaire stuff. The League Militaire stuff, I think, is like a clear S tier. It's so easily splashable into other types of decks, and it just makes it so much better because of the card draw. We've already seen results with League Militaire being splashed into like other archetypes as well, and so it has already started to prove itself that it is a very strong archetype, and anything that uses League Militaire is kind of like a tier above everything else. So League Militaire is going to go into the S tier. Next up, we're going to do CB stuff. So we're going to do red purple CB, as well as green red CB. If I can find the curios in here so that we can talk about that. There it is. So first one is red purple. I think that the CB stuff is going to get a lot better in this format. Even though aggro still exists, it again has been nerfed, which gives these decks like a better chance to thrive. And they're able to respond to aggro a little bit easier. I think that CB is going to be a lot more powerful in this new format. Also because in general, like these decks like were already like really good, decent like mid-range decks. Like they had really powerful cards like in the mid-range. Like Curios is like super powerful. And then red purple has some like really good cards in it too. And I believe that the set also got some extra support. It got like a new Throne Eins, I believe, that has suppression on it. So yeah, solid deck. CB, I think it's going to be a contender for the next format. Next up, we have like Tekken. We'll call this like, you know, like top end Tekken, whatever color you decide to put with it. White, blue, I don't know, green. But in general, just Tekken in general. It gets Lupus Rex as a new support. Lupus Rex, I think, is underrated. Being able to set your things as active so that they can't be destroyed or like, you know, like swung into on the next turn is really powerful. And then the 1 damage to be able to turn on lots of things is pretty good. So I think Tekken got legs in the next format, and again with aggro being less powerful, definitely has like a chance to thrive. And Lupus, I think, is right. Is already just like a really good card. So yeah, I think this deck just gets better, and it was already doing pretty well in the GD04 format. So solid deck. The next deck is going to be Sazabi. I got Sazabi here. Sazabi, I'm throwing into the A tier. Its effect is really good. You don't even need a link. It's just like a generic attack. It's got suppression. It's level 7, so it's like not super late. I think the question that needs to be answered is like what color is best to play with it. Do we go 8 char? Do we splash in League Militaire, right? Because Sazabi actually does synergize a little bit with Militaire because it can destroy the pants tokens to activate its effect. So yeah, and since League Militaire has proven to be like a great archetype already, splashing it with Sazabi is not a bad idea. I think we've already seen results with it. So Sazabi, I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into the A tier. Next up, I got Phantom Pain. Phantom Pain, I think, is designed to be like an aggro archetype, and it's got a lot of like hand disruption, and hand disruption I think is really good. Like discarding a card sounds pretty broken. Like that sounds annoying as hell to play against. So I think like if this aggro deck can be figured out, I think it's gonna have a place in the meta for sure, and you're gonna have to, you know, prepare for this type of like aggro deck. So I think that, yeah, the Phantom Pain stuff got something going for it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into the B tier, however, though not quite into the A tier, but we'll see. Next up is Londo Bell. Londo Bell I think has like a lot of really powerful mid-range units, and New Gundam itself can kind of like end games. Like it's hitting 2 shields like if you link it, right? Because Breach 5, if there's no base there, or if the base is 5 HP, yeah, it's taking that out, and then it's like dipping into your shields. If during the game you've been like putting pressure on their shields and you've like taken it out, New Gundam can kind of just like clean things up and like win you the game. Yeah, I think that the New Gundam is not really like a Wing Zero type situation where you're trying to like stall until New Gundam. No. I think this is kind of like a mid-range deck, and you're trying to put pressure on your opponent, and you're trying to end things with the New Gundam. I think that's how you play the Londo Bell stuff. So I think it's going to be an A tier. I have played it a little bit. I'm throwing it there. Next up is like Justice Blockers. There's several ways you can play this, right? Like full seed, or you can play with a Neon package. So either or, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in A tier because with aggro being slowed down, this deck definitely just has a better time. And it has really good mid-range units to be able to like control that mid-game. So yeah, I think that this deck, you can still very viably play this into the new format. So I'm going to throw this one into A tier. Next up, we got Wing. This is like green-white Wing with a new Endless Waltz support. I think that this deck is pivoting, though. It's not the same type of deck where you're like stalling until you get to Wing 0 and then you win the game. Just because like now there's like a bunch of other like late game decks that have like really good top end cards, right? Wing 0 is no longer like the de facto like best super best like top end card where again when you play it you just win because you just nuke the whole board. I think that this deck has to kind of pivot more to become mid-range because I think there's a better late game card now in the form of Strike Freedom. So yeah, I think this deck needs to just kind of like put on early pressure and try to win the game using the new Endless Waltz suppression Wing 0, right? If there's a rested enemy unit in play, this unit gains suppression. So like that right there is like a ton of pressure. So I think that that's how the new Wing decks kind of need to pivot into. Next up is going to be the Minerva squad stuff. So there's 2 ways to play Minerva: red, purple, white, purple. I think are the main ways people are playing it, so that's how I'm gonna categorize it. And I'm going to put the white purple Minerva into A tier and the red purple into B tier. However, I do think that red purple is more aggro-ish, and we're getting support to add stuff to our trash with Airframe Seizure, so that's really good. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential here for like a red purple Minerva squad, like kind of rushy style to start getting results. And then the white purple version I think just gets better because aggro has been nerfed, and Destiny Gundam itself just generates so much value once it starts spawning things out of the trash. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into the B and this into the A. Next up, I have kind of like the Xeon picture here. This is going to be like a red-green Xeon deck. Maybe like this is focused on Char and Yan, kind of like early aggression into like mid-range with the Xeon and the Yan. Maybe you can even play G-Quux. But yeah, green-red I think gets, again, better. It's like a decently aggro deck, and then you can kind of finish games with all the bodies that Xeon spawns, as well as Nyan is just able to like kind of control the board a little bit by swinging into active blockers that are kind of like in your way, or just like anything active. So yeah, with aggro a little bit nerfed, this deck can kind of like shine in the early game a little bit better and survive at that point, and then be able to play its game in the middle, in the mid game. But I'm gonna throw this one to the B tier. Next, I have Academy. To be honest, I don't really have much data on Academy. I haven't played Academy. I don't really know how it plays. Sorry guys, I don't really have an opinion. So I'm just gonna have to default this one to B tier. But I mean, it seems pretty good. Using EX resources to like reduce damage. And it seems to have like lots of really cool units. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into the B tier. Next is the Gundam Fighters deck. There's different ways to play this, like either as like an aggro deck or more of a control deck. Regardless of how you play it, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into the B tier because I think it's like a high skill deck, and it's gonna take a while for us to see results with this deck, and that's the main reason. But like, it's got really good cards. It's got First Strike. It's got like a pseudo suppression with the Master Gundam. It's got lots of ping damage. It just has so many tools. It's got AP minus, like, yeah. Like, how can this deck be bad, right? Like, it's got so many tools to be able to deal with a lot of things. So, but yeah, I'm gonna start off by throwing this into the B tier. But I can see that rising really quickly. Next up is like Zaft Providence. With aggro, again, kind of lower on the kind of nerfed, or like, yeah, lower in terms of meta share. Providence could shine a lot better. But I think the issue with the Providence decks was like fitting in enough AP plus units to be able to like take advantage of it. But Providence is honestly like one of my favorite cards. I'd love to try Providence in the new format with aggro kind of being toned down. So yeah, I love Providence, but I think I'm gonna have to put that into the B tier. Next, we have Cyclops Team, and honestly, Cyclops Team in the format that it came out was not terrible. It just turned out that green, blue, and Blurple was just like the better aggro. Like, this is still like an aggro deck, and I think it's got legs. I'd love to see someone like build Cyclops Team again and try it out. Now that basically I think like we have like more options for running aggro, right? Like, we don't have to default to Blurple because now that's just been almost completely dismantled, right? Like, I love to see aggro innovate and see different forms of aggro come about. So hopefully Cyclops Team can come into the picture as a decent aggro deck. Next up is the Vultures deck. Vultures, I thought, was always like, they got good cards, and Trash Recursion is great too. The DX in general is just like a stupidly, absurdly like powerful card. Suppression, destroy anything that's level 8 or lower. That sounds good. That sounds pretty good. And again, like with aggro on the decline, this deck can shine better. I am going to throw it in B tier, but I think those Vulture players are going to come out of the woodwork and start throwing hands. Next, I got Unicorn. Unicorn, I think as an archetype, has always been good, but with aggro being around, it had difficult staying power. It just was really hard to get to it. But yeah, it was a great like mid-range deck. Like in GD01, it was kind of like blue-white, green-white going against each other. Unicorn just also has like really powerful units. The destroy mode is great. Awakened is like a powerful card, giving -2 AP to give you better trades. And then we got the level 8 Unicorn with repair 3. And Bandager just lets you draw a lot, right? Like, solid mechanics in the deck, but I don't think it's as good as some of the others as these other ones. So I'm gonna throw it into the B tier. Next, we got Turn A. Unfortunately, until Turn A players start cooking something up, I'm gonna have to throw this into the C tier. I don't really have much else to say about Turn A. It's a really cool effect, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of hard to cook something up around this. But I'd love to see it happen. So C tier it is. Mafty, also C tier. Not too many results with it, but again, with aggro, on the decline, Mafty as like, I can see Mafty kind of like putting in some work, but until that happens, I'm going to have to throw it into the C tier. Also because we didn't really get much support for it in GD05. The latest support we got for it was in GD04, I think. Some extra draw. But yeah, maybe as like a mid-range aggro deck, we could see some Mafty stuff happening. Who knows? The next one is Quebly. Unfortunately, I think Quebly, awesome card. Love the suit, love the pilot, love Haman. But I think I have to throw into the C tier. I think there's just better options for like pinging, and also like Neo Xeon in general. Right, like we literally have like Neo Xeon. You kind of use this, I guess, like as a mid-range unit. Like this is no longer like your end game, right? Like when it came out, like this was kind of like your end game, right? Because it had suppression, it had ping, but now it's kind of like a mid-range unit. So I'm gonna have to throw into the C tier because I think Neo Xeon is just the better deck, which we're gonna go over that real soon. The next deck is Epion. We did get a new Zex Marquise, but I think as a deck, this is just gonna have to go into the C tier for me. It's a cool card, but I think that there's just better options for blue-white, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, C tier. The next card deck is Neo Xeon. That one's gonna be an S tier easily. When this card comes down, it's a menace. Deal 3 damage. When you get 2 on the board, it's an even bigger menace. 6 damage. Disgusting card. Really hard to deal with. If you don't beat Neo Xeon decks before they get there, it's incredibly difficult. Almost borderline impossible to win unless they have like 1 shield left, or like you're just like 1 attack away. That's like really the only way you can win, because they kind of like run out of units like in the end game, right? Sometimes they just start drawing into pilots or their commands. They don't see a unit, so they can't actually deal the 3 ping damage. But still, it's really powerful card, very powerful deck. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into the S tier. Next up, we have Clan. Clan was honestly like a really great mid-range deck beforehand. So with Aggro on the decline as a mid-range deck, this has a lot of room to breathe now. And yeah, this card just, or not this card, this deck just has like a lot of really great tools. In the early to mid game, it's got that red Gundam with Breach, and then giving its clan units like extra AP. It discourages blocks because it goes 1 for 1. And the Breach, right? You can trade, but you still breach. So yeah, it's scary mid-range. And then you got first strike on that G-Quux. And there's plenty of ways to get advantage, right? Machu being able to look at the top card and being able to pull it if it's a clan card. It's really good. So I can see this deck doing a lot better into the next format for sure. Here we go, Strike Freedom. Yeah, Strike Freedom I think is going to be the next best archetype in the coming set. Its ability is just super good. Draw in this game is really powerful, so allowing you to draw 2 cards on the turn that it comes down, especially in the end game, so you can find your answers, or just like try to end the game, is really powerful. And it's super splashable. Its effect is just on deploy, and then its attack effect is also just during pair regularly. It's not a link. So yeah, Orb in general I think is just, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good. S tier good. Next up we got Super Block. Super Block I'm gonna throw that into the C tier. I think you're supposed to play this as like an aggro deck. To be honest, I'm not really sure. But yeah, until someone cooks something up, I'm gonna have to throw Super Block into C tier. We didn't really get any support for Super Block in the new set. So it would pretty much just be like trying to figure out what the next best aggro deck is. So I'm going to throw that into the C tier. Next, we got Norn. Norn has been splashed into so many different types of archetypes, but Norn itself is like so powerful. It can clear out so many things on the board without dying itself. So yeah, there's just so much value to be had from this card. It's also incredibly hard to remove. So that is an easy S tier for me. Next up is like a Titans, not Jupiterus, because I have the O here. This is just like a Titans, like maybe like red blue or something. Cyber new type of deck. I'm gonna have to throw some C tier because in terms of support, we didn't get really too much in GD05, and I think like as a mid-range deck, it's not as good as like other mid-range options, like again like say Clan. So I'm gonna have to throw this into the C tier. Next one is the Banshee Destroy mode here from GD01. And I'm going to consider this one like the command control deck where you're playing mostly commands and not that many units. I think in this new format, it's pretty good because the fact that we get Airframe Seizure, which allows us to load up our discard even more. That seems pretty good for the Banshee Destroy mode, right? Like you control the game until your opponent kind of overextends with some cards, and then you can drop down the Banshee, Marita Link, and First Strike into 2 of them, get tons of value, clear the board, and then shuffle everything back in the deck and just start filling the trash again. Seems pretty good. I'm gonna throw that one in A tier. Next one is the O. The O didn't really get too much support in the set, but like, the O was always really good. I don't think we're gonna see much O early on because people want to play like the new stuff, but keep an eye out on this deck. The O like is a powerful card. Repairing, resting. Sorry, right? If this deck doesn't like trade into your units, they're just repairing and staying super duper healthy, which is really hard to deal with. Yeah, O I think is gonna be an easy A tier for me. Keep an eye out. I think I already talked about, this is the Shining Gundam, but we talked about G Fighter here, so there's not much to talk about there. I think we're kind of running down to the end here. I don't think that there are any other decks that I can talk about with these icons here. How about like green blue, like a cyber new type? Maybe like a mid-range blue-red cyber new type, perhaps. I'll throw that into like the C tier with like Sananju, Kshatriya. I think this is my final tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Where do you guys agree? Where do you guys disagree? Let me know down in the comments. And until next time, I will see you guys later.